Yeah, let's take a closer look at Elena Kagan. She is a 50-year-old New York City native, the first woman to be the dean of Harvard Law School, where she received her law degree. She worked in the Clinton White House back in the 90s and currently serves as the federal government's top lawyer, arguing cases for the federal government before the Supreme Court. So if Elena Kagan clears the Judiciary Committee, her nomination will head to a full Senate vote, and Republican John Barrasso of Wyoming will be one of the people in that room. He actually voted against Kagan as Solicitor General, and he joins us now. Senator, welcome. Why did you vote against her for Solicitor General?
Well, I thought that in terms of some of the questions when she was asked that she sidestepped some of those, but I am an open mind. We need a fair hearing. We need enough time to get all the questions answered, but fundamentally we need somebody who is going to apply the law, not write the law, someone who's going to apply the law and not apply their own feelings. One
of the feelings word which you just brought up goes to what President Obama said in the past about judges needing to have empathy when they look at the cases that they cover, and he's been looking for people who had sort of that in their background, and that was much discussed during the Sotomayor hearings. How will you seek to find out where she is in terms of empathy and looking at the Constitution as a very sort of clean and set document?
Well, I think every senator is going to have an opportunity to sit down and visit with her. But you raised a couple of issues. One was what happened at Harvard. She took a position, and the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that she was wrong. The other issue is this whole health care bill that has just come out. There's a mandate that everybody in the country has to buy a product. That's a 10th Amendment issue. 20 states right now, Martha, are suing the federal government. And she is going to have to make a decision if she is on the court about how that goes forward with these 20 states suing. So where state rights comes in, where's the role of the federal government, what can they mandate from the American people? And I'm going to want to hear some answers on that. And this is very different than a year ago with Sotomayor. This was not an issue because we didn't have this very unpopular health care bill that has been forced down the throats of the American people.
Yeah, you bring up a very important point because a lot of people are going to be watching that as a case. How likely do you think it is that we will see that case argued before the Supreme Court in the near term, that the constitutionality of health care reform will go before the court?
Well, I think that it will. 20 states have already filed that suit. Everywhere I travel around my home state of Wyoming, but also around the country, I continue to hear, how can Washington make us buy something we don't want to buy, a product? They can't tell us to buy breakfast cereal or something else. How can they do that? This is likely to get to the Supreme Court, and I think it's reasonable to ask a nominee, tell us about your view of the 10th Amendment. Tell us about your view of our Second Amendment rights, the right to own and bear arms. The Attorney General does not agree with my interpretation of the Second Amendment. I want to make sure that this nominee does. So that'll be another issue. And the Bill of Rights has to do with what the government can't do to the American people. That has to do with our individual rights. So I'll be interested to hear what her questions are, but she will clearly get a very fair, open hearing. We need enough time so everybody gets a chance before the vote is cast. And the question always comes up, will there be a filibuster of a nominee?
Right.
I would hope not. Clearly, President Obama, when he was in the Senate, and Joe Biden, when he was in the Senate, supported a filibuster of Judge Alito. So I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, but that's an option that the Democrats have now taken.
Yeah, you bring up a very interesting issue, the constitutionality of health care reform. I think she's going to get a lot of questions on that issue in the ways that you mentioned. Senator Barrasso, thank you very much for being with us this morning. Big news today.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you.